In this exercise, you will learn how to service electric wet grinder. Switch off the power supply to the wet grinder. Remove the power cord from the power socket. The parts of the wet grinder are as shown. Dismantle all parts of the wet grinder using appropriate tools. Remove the power cable from the grinder terminals. Check the continuity of each core of the cable using a multimeter. Using Megger, check for any insulation failure between the three cores of the cable for electric short circuit between them. If any short circuit is identified, replace the power cable. The motor used in the wet grinders are usually capacitor start induction motor. Check the continuity of starting winding terminals, namely S sub 1 and S sub 2, and running winding terminals, namely R sub 1 and R sub 2, using multimeter. No continuity means open circuit fault in the windings. Replace the respective winding if it is found open. Using Megger, check the insulation between the windings. Try to dry the windings if the interwinding insulation is found to have poor value. Using Megger, check the insulation resistance between the winding terminals and the body of the motor. If the insulation value is less than 0.5 megaohms in the above 2 Megger tests, dismantle the motor. Heat and dry the coils. Apply varnish for increasing the insulation. Dry the winding again. Check the insulation again. If it is still less than 0.5 megaohms, replace the windings. Check the motor bearing for any shake or any other faults in them. Replace the bearing if it is found to be faulty. Disconnect the capacitor from the motor. Short circuit both terminals with a 1 kilo ohm resistor connected in between them to discharge the residual charges. Check the capacitor by measuring the resistance using multimeter. This table shows the condition of a capacitor with respect to the value of its resistance. If the capacitor is in bad condition, replace it with a new one. Reassemble the wet grinder and test run. In this exercise, you will learn how to service electric food mixer. Switch off power supply and remove the power cord of the food mixer from the power socket. Dismantle the parts of the food mixer in the following sequence. Dismantled parts are shown above. Remove the power cable from the food mixer. Check for the continuity of each core of the cable using multimeter. Check for the insulation resistance between the three cores of the cable using Megger. The Megger should show good insulation resistance value if the cable is good. Replace the power cable if it is found to be faulty in the above tests. Check the switch for loose contacts and burnt smell, and check for any discontinuity between switch terminals using multimeter. Replace the switch if it is found to be faulty. Generally, a variable speed universal motor is used in all food mixers that could rotate up to 14,000 rotations per minute. Refer to Rewinding of Universal Motor media to know about the servicing of universal motor. Take the jar in your hand and check whether the blades rotate freely. Remove the blade and check for damage or deformation in the shaft. Replace if any damage is found. Check the couplings of the motor and jar visually. Replace the couplings with new one if the coupling is found to be damaged. Fix the jar and test if the blade is freely rotating. Do all connections as per the circuit diagram shown above. Assemble the parts of the food mixer. Connect the power cord to the power outlet. Switch on the power supply. Check the mixer for proper operation. Test run the mixer with some food item added in the cup. In this exercise, you will learn about maintenance of juice mixer. The blades should be inspected for any previous leftover residues. The leftover residues might hinder the durability of the blades. The jar used for mixing should be properly positioned in the center of the holding device. The electrical cord should be inspected for any damages. The motor should be inspected for overheating. The motor in the mixer is meant only for short time rating. If the mixer is made to run without intervals, it might lead to overheating of the motor. This in turn results in the failure of the motor windings. To avoid shocks, ensure that your hands are dry before touching the juice mixer. Visually inspect for any damages in the plug. Remove the base of the mixer with a screwdriver and inspect it for any damages. The base and the supply cord should be cleaned regularly. The inspection of supply cord has been dealt already in another media. Do not use any rough materials like brushes for cleaning purpose. Only soft sponges should be used for cleaning. It is advisable to clean the parts of the juice mixer as soon as you have finished with the work. Thus, you have learned about the maintenance procedure of the juice mixer.